Did somebody say burn ends? Good afternoon. We're going to cook some burn ends. But before, these are competition style burn ends, okay? Now, I'm calling them competition style because I don't want to hear all the comments. This is a very good way to cook them in competition, but honestly, we don't turn in burn ends in competition anymore because it's so subjective. So let me get you prepped right. Number one, we're going to need a thermometer. I'm only going to use one of them, and it's going to be after it's in there for a while. One of the things I want to talk about, a pro tip is, and I watch a lot of the influencers, and there's so many great temperature monitoring probes and stuff, but I'm watching people where they're putting 3 and 4 probes, and they're so probe crazy that it's just not good. You got to develop a feel for the meat. So how we're going to cook these things is we're going to season them up. I'm going to inject them and season them. I'm going to put them in the BPS drum at 250, and I'm going to spritz it about every 30 minutes with beef stock. So let's start by taking your handy solo sprayer, beef stock. Like I said, it's only going to be in there about 2 hours on the drums uncovered. So I'm going to spritz it pretty good every half hour. Your meat in the cooker wants to be about 17% humidity. That seems pretty technical, but I can tell by looking at it. If the meat's drying out really quick, the fire is a little dry. If I go there and it's got puddles of moisture still, then it's pretty humid already. So you want to use your eyes to determine how much you spritz. So we've got this, and you can buy these beautiful sprayers at Big Papa, shameless plug, but it's what we use on the competition circuit, and I really like them. They're the solo sprayer. So we got our spritzer ready. When we get the right amount of color at about 2 hours, we're going to foil with some beef stock too and some cash cow. So I've got the 2 foil. Now let's get down to making the injection. We're using Big Papa Smokers cattle prod. This has won every major championship so many times. I have 16 ounces of water. And you see some of the healthy waters, a lot of alkaline, a high pH, this and that. What I use in competition is lukewarm, not cold and not hot, distilled water. Now the reason why distilled is there's no mystery of the pH, it's the same. We're gonna take a 1/4 cup for 16 ounces, mix that in there. This is so fun. So now let me stir it up, make sure we get all the lumps out. Now this injection does have phosphates. They won't get you sick, but it's part of a tenderizer that they use a lot in competition. But it also has rendered beef stock and rendered beef fat in it, so we're giving it some flavor, and we're also giving it a little bit of fat. We're replacing some of the fat that may come out of it. So here we have our gun. This will set these aside. Now these are from the last contest. These are Wagyu, and in competition barbecue, we separate the point from the flat. We can cook it more evenly and faster. So this beautiful point is right here. And this one's very big. I'm going to trim this down just a hair. Now for the injection. And this is pretty controversial. A lot of people use a lot of different techniques. Load this gun up. Make sure I'm mixed good. Yes, I am. I'm going to go with the grain. Little short bursts, okay? Don't force it in there, just let it get in there. I want to get a really good coverage here. You can see the injection going in there, and you want to kind of make sure it gets spread around good so you don't have pockets of injection or injection stains. But if you see, this is really doing a pretty good job, and we've only used less than 2 syringes. Okay, now we're going to turn it over. We're going to go against the grain. May seem like a lot, but it's really not a lot because if you can see, this is 3 syringes. Now, the other thing is I like to inject my meat room temperature as close as I can. Don't worry about bacteria setting in or any of that because it's going to be in the cooker very quickly. So this one's ready to sit here. This is with the grain. Now, why did I stop turning in burn ends in competition? We've gotten perfect perfects, which are really hard to do. We've gotten a lot of perfect scores. We've won a lot of briskets, but there's a lot of times where I think the burn ends were perfect, but I think with Wagyu, sometimes if you render them perfectly, the judges might think that they're overcooked, which they're not. I would prefer it if everybody had to cook burn ends, but since they can't, you don't get scored down for not turning them in. They can help your score, but theoretically, I think they have a tendency to hurt a good brisket score. So that's why I take them home and make videos with them and serve them to friends. Okay, let's turn it over, and we're gonna go against the grain. I'm not pressing the syringe hard. I'm not forcing a lot of injection in there. I'm trying to get even coverage throughout the points. Now, normally I do this in a pan. I did it out of the pan, so it's a little messier, so you can really see what I'm doing. We're gonna season these. Now, a lot of people season all sides. On both points and flats, I only season the top side. And I don't go crazy with it either. And in competition and at home, I use Big Papa's Comp Steak and Brisket. But that's the only rub I use, and we've been doing really well. I think sometimes competition cooks get a little bit in their desire to create unique flavors. They will mix 4 or 5 rubs. Each one of those rubs has salt, pepper, garlic, onion, paprika, chili, to say the least. So every time you're doing that, you're adding another layer of salt, pepper, and all those ingredients, when there might be just one ingredient in that rub you want to use that's giving you either color or flavor. Try and figure out what that flavor is you're looking for and just put that ingredient on it, but it takes a lot of practice. That's how I made Comp Steak and Brisket. It's 72% salt, pepper, and garlic, and then all the other things I like. Just because it's big salt doesn't mean that it's high sodium. This is a really high quality sea salt. Now, the thought process behind this is that all the other ingredients and particles are smaller than the salt. So they're gonna take their place on the meat first. The salt's gonna be on top of it. And as the meat sweats, which is the interaction between the salt dissolving with the moisture in the meat, it creates a salt cap or dry brine. So that's why I use, first of all, good salt for the flavor, but also to help create that dry brine. So here we go. And you see, I'm not killing it with rub. I watch these people, and my idea isn't to be super critical, because as long as you're cooking, it's good. But if you want to get smoke on it, pay attention. You can't put a 1/4 of an inch of rub blocking the meat in the smoke. So if you see, I've got a nice amount of rub, but I also have surface of the meat that you can see. Maybe just a little dash, because I'm seeing how it's settling in. These are gonna sit here for about half hour, and then we're gonna go out to the BPS drum at 250. Thanks so much. I'll see you in just a little bit. Let's light this BPS drum up. Okay, I'm gonna set it for 250, and we should have a lot of fun here. Bye-bye. Okay, let's put these brisket points on. We're not going to revisit them for a half hour. We're going to check the moisture level. Okay, it's been 30 minutes. Now, you can see some puddles. Guess what I'm going to do? This side, right here is a little dry. I want to keep that nice and wet. This beef stock. Put them over for a half hour. See, in a half hour. Okay, it's been an hour. I'm going to turn these over real quick. Real careful. They're an hour away. I don't need to spritz them. They're fine. Now, for the first time, I'm going to probe them after an hour. 152, 155. I need a little better bark on these, so I'm going to bump the temperature up. Another half hour, that'll be good. Okay, within 2 hours, pretty much how I want to see them. I got my double glove hands. Let's go in. All right, it's been on the drum for 2 hours. You notice I only probed it once. I only ended up spritzing it once because it didn't need it. We're right around 165, 175. It's perfect. What we're gonna do, we're gonna take some butter, and then we're going to wrap it. Oh yeah. Now what I wanna do is I don't wanna lay this over here because it's too much foil on it. So I'm wrapping to the end there. Now I'm picking it up. I'm taking some beef broth, maybe about a half a cup, and back on the cooker. See you in about 2 hours. Okay, back on the cooker. I dropped it down to 250. One pan here because it's bigger. This one will rotate them midway through the cook. I'm not going to check them for at least 45 minutes. You notice I've only probed the meat twice. Getting dark. They're 211. And that's perfect. We're going to go in and put them in the oven and let them rest. 160-degree oven for exactly 2 hours, then we'll prepare them. Okay. Okay, kids, it's been great spending the afternoon with you making these burnt ends. They've been resting in the oven at 160, washed out. And little grannies here. And we're gonna set these on the smoker. Lost a little bit of my bark on this one. So since this is television, I'll move the good one in front. Now let's make a little finishing sauce. Blues Hog regular. Then we're going grannies. Buy all of these at Big Papa Smokers. Mix that up. I got the fat separator here. Okay, there we go. Now to cut these, I really like using my brisket knife. I'm just gonna use the width of the knife. I'm just going through this so easy, it's so rendered. Okay. Just a couple little tricks coming up. Okay, let's just get some of this nice strained au jus. Sauce them up. Now we got a really sweet sauce. Toss them. We're so close, kids. Finishing rub today, a little surprise. Sweet money hot. Usually for pork, but I want the heat and I want the sweet. Beautiful. All right, we're gonna go outside for about 20 minutes, set the sauce, and I'll present them to you guys. Well, I'm pretty pleased with these. Okay, here we go. The burnt ends are done. Okay, this is really fun. It's almost done. I'm just gonna kind of stack them and present them nicely. Look at these beauties. We're getting there. We're almost there. The final drizzle. And then one more hit of Sweet Money Hot. There you go. Burn ends, burn ends, burn ends. Thank you, everybody. Hope you cook them. Hope you enjoy them.